Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Beyond Chunkz of the Joker. This is the podcast where we can't hear you, but you can hear us talking about each and every chunk of Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, one chunk at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
I'm your other host, John Parker, and to be honest, I'd be quite happy if you couldn't hear me. I don't like hearing myself. It's the worst thing in the world.
All right, so make note from now on. Just cut John out of the podcast.
Just mute me. And then it'll be funny. People will think you're going insane.
They already did that.
It sounds like it's like, Andy Kaufman's Bat Minutes or something like that. It's like it's a joke that only we get.
Well, we can recast me next season. You can play me as well.
No, all right. Well, unless people want to audition, we do have people right here who could audition for the new John. We have erstwhile Mogwai Minotaur, George Hendricks.
It's been a minute, but yes, hello.
It's been a chunk.
I like the way we're still sticking with that.
I mean that's the last thing I completed, so
yeah.
Wow, it was a while ago too. But a guy who is much more active in the podcasting scene at the moment, it is erstwhile sword boy, Rick Ingham.
Cling clang, gentlemen, cling clang.
Yeah.
Clang.
Nice to have you. Always feel a bit bad too, because I think the Sword Boys really perfected the chunk. Well, the chunk is in Sword Boys, but also Jonathan Howe did it for the Cast and the Furious as well. So I think we always owe Jonathan a debt of gratitude.
We're going back to everyone's lauding Jonathan's podcast approach, but it really is just like how can I podcast and be lazy as possible? That's the core tenet of all of his beliefs. Like least editing, least amount of actually talking about stuff. Go.
Yeah, it's all about putting the right people in the right room and just letting them go.
The magic happen.
But we will talk about specific things in this show.
Apparently,
we've been talking about chunk 14 of Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, which John would usually come in with, like, these are the minutes that are featured, but I'm not as organized as John, so I don't know which minutes are actually featured.
I can tell you right now, it's minutes 66 to 70.
Yeah, 66. Wow.
That's a 5-minute chunk for you math wizards out there.
Yeah. Well, this chunk opens with a bat on the floor, and it ends a minute later with a bat getting off the floor. He was no longer.
So much happens within these 5 minutes. Then he gets up.
He gets down. He gets up and down.
Hey, we're here to get down.
Here you are.
We're up all night to get chunky, and we were also. You're never going to keep us down. On the other side.
Yeah.
Oh, But yeah, I should just ask though outright, fellas, because like most people in the past have had a lot of familiarity with BTAS, Batman the Animated Series.
Yes.
But like some people are a bit more sort of like hit and miss with Batman Beyond. Which angle are you coming at this film and the entire concept of Batman Beyond from?
There's very few Batman things that I would be like, no thanks. I mean, Batman's just got a place where I'm like, yeah, I'm accepting. I'm like an all-inclusive Batman resort up in here.
Yeah. I mean, I was all on board with BTAS when it first came out. And I was there for the, I guess, arrival of Batman Beyond. And I really dug the whole like retro futuristic vibe to it, all the flying cars and the new Batman. I think Terry McGinnis is a great, Bat figure in the Pantheon and whatnot. I actually feel like I missed out not seeing the movie earlier because I pretty much only watched the show. I think there's a great I don't want to say pantheon of Bat villains that exists.
Yeah, because it's 90% the Joker.
Beyond. Yeah. So like the fact that we don't see, like, we only see the Joker gang in the movie. Like, yeah, cool. You gotta focus in for the, what is this, like a 75-minute movie anyway. So you can't bring in the Royal Flush Gang. You can't bring in Ink. You can't do any, bringing in of the expansive world building that Batman Beyond gave. But I think it was a good, slice of what the show had
We
to
got
offer.
Ace.
They couldn't even bring
Here in the movie.
in Max, one of the main characters from the show, never even mentioned in the film. It's just like, he just comes back from vacation, just like, hey, Terry, what did I miss? Just
Yeah,
like, the Joker came back. Jesus Christ, it's a whole big thing.
It's wild to me as somebody who's barely seen the show. Like, because I've seen like a couple of episodes here and there. So to hear that this is very, very sort of different in some ways is quite fascinating. I want to watch more of the show.
The animation
We'll cover more
style is
of the
very
show.
similar. But stories like how far in the future is again? I can never remember. It's like 50 years.
40 years.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Bruce Wayne goes from being like 30-ish in BTAS, and now he's like in his 80s.
something like that.
Yeah. They gave us an exact age. What did we come? We figured out his age, didn't we? Wasn't he like 80?
He's
Oh, I can't
80
bloody
something,
remember.
and then there's like, because then the last you ever see in that Justice League episode, I think he's supposed to be like 99 or something. Like it cuts like 20 years from there, and you're like, yeah, he's 99. It's like,
Well, he's a billionaire. They can live
Oh
forever.
yeah. He just recycles his blood with antifreeze or something like that, and it just keeps him
Yeah.
fresh.
Yeah.
Bruce does have the kind of vibe too that he is literally too stubborn to die. Like you just won't do it. Like he's like, well, not as long as there's crime to be angry at, I'm
Yeah.
gonna
He's
stick.
got too much to do. He can't die.
But speaking of a man who's busy though, actually though the dude. So Rick, you took a while to see the movie though, but George, do you remember when you came in? Were you there for the whole censorship debacle of Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, and all that? 'Cause it was
I was into the BTAS, and then I shifted into Beyond, and somewhere in there, my memory of the whole thing kind of gets a little hazy. Either I didn't finish it, or I was watching it, not paying attention to it, and so by the time the movie came out, I was like, I was not like super hardcore about it. It's one of those things where like if a Batman thing's on, I'm like, yeah, I'll watch that, but I'm not going to be like, this Saturday I'm going to watch Batman. So there's a that difference between like priorities as far as your entertainment time goes.
okay. That's fair enough. I'm currently experiencing that with Kite Man. Kite Man has his own TV show now.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I saw
I'll get
that.
to
I haven't seen
eventually.
it, but I saw it pop up. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. That's just like when it was Harley Quinn was starting. I was like, oh, you're damn right, I'm watching it the first day. And then Kite Man's like, I'll get there.
It's one of those things I
Kite
think
Man's
it's going
a
to be
bit
like
more
better
obscure.
than it looks like on paper, because they wouldn't have made it if it was not better than it looks like on paper. Because you're like, Kite Man's kind of a character, but it's probably going
But
to be
it's
really
a
funny.
deep pull for most people.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Harley. Not everyone
Yeah.
knows Kite Man.
I mean, if you've seen the show, Kite Man and, Jilted Lover and all that. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Although my daughter's really into Harley Quinn, so we'll probably watch Kite Man together at some point.
No, wasn't your daughter like really young though? Isn't Harley like the Harley Quinn TV show is pretty adult? Like,
Well,
that's,
I'm not saying I'm a cool dad, but I definitely have been like, I would rather you have experience with this sort of stuff when you have a little bit of context and guidance, rather than just being like, what the hell does fuck off mean? Or, whatever, profanities are coming out of their mouths.
no.
She's
well, that's
hardcore.
good
She's
because
hardcore shipping Harley and Ivy though. So from the jump, so
It's good, I think, because you know that like kids are going to watch this.
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
I've said before, I grew up watching Terminator, Alien, Predator. I probably shouldn't have been watching them. So, it might have been a good idea for my dad to be there with me.
to answer
just to talk
questions.
through
Yeah, for
stuff.
sure.
Yeah,
She's 13 now though, so I mean, she's fine.
that's perfect age for it. Yeah.
Your dad there to answer questions while you're watching RoboCop is like, Dad, is it ethically correct for a corporation to bring a man back from the dead to be enslaved to the
Oh, honey, let's talk about capitalism.
the whole
I thought
thing
you
too,
were
like
gonna
with
ask
the
about shooting people in the dick.
Yeah.
I'm currently at that point too, because I've seen last night watched Alien Romulus. It's at that point where not a lot of people have seen it yet, but there's like a point I want to make about it that I'm having to bite my tongue all
My
weekend.
ticket,
to be like,
I have my ticket for it tomorrow night. If we want to date the episode of the podcast,
Okay.
if we want to date it, I've got a ticket for Romulus tomorrow night, and I've had Pink Pony Club stuck in my head for 3 days. There you
could not be more summer of 2024.
go. Exactly. That is my brat summer right there.
Yeah, I was about to say you're having a brat girl summer.
And also too, because I've recently watched. I was thinking about it earlier, the fact that now it's Brat Girl Summer, and Charlie XCX is just so laying into this, and just like, yep, that's everything's labeled Brat.
Yeah.
And then that Andrew McCarthy Brat Pack documentary came out recently as well. Where he's just this old jaded man been like, I wish they didn't call us the Brat Pack back then because that labeled us and everyone thought we were like immature assholes and stuff.
That just shows how out of touch he is.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh no, that documentary is a bizarre folly, and that just makes him look like a really desperate, pathetic man. But
they should lean into it though and make the cover of it the Brat cover.
Put the green with the lowercase black text. Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of dating things, or specifically timing things, actually, I did note in the back there, because Terry's on the floor. Apparently, it is nearly 8:05, according to that clock in the background. So
well spotted. Yeah,
it's good to know that this Batman. Because there's always the thing of like the age old joke of like, oh, Batman, the criminals could get away with it if they just did the crimes during the day, because Batman's only out at night.
I mean, that's at a very normal time. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is kind of like, oh, how early does Batman start? Like, because 8:05 could be like, that's all well and good in the winter. But that could be like Bruce Wayne, be like, oh, 8:05, like, now I got like another 2 hours to go before I can get out there. You know?
Yeah. I mean, if you're in the height of summer, the sun might not even be going down until 8 o'clock.
Well, at least.
I like how you're in the middle of this futuristic factory. You have all these lasers and on off. And right there on the counter is like the head of a mace. As if like, oh, also, by the way, I still dabble in a little bit of medieval weaponry as I'm pursuing my nefarious gains.
You've got to keep one foot in the past, you know. Yeah. Don't forget where you came from.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy the fact that table is filled with random bits of hodgepodge weaponry, as if like the Joker, in between all the other scenes we've seen of him, I was like, no, I just enjoy sitting and creating weapons. Sitting watching some TV, making my mace. You know,
maybe that's a security mace. He needs it to feel, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we're calling them weapons, but this is an abandoned candy factory. These could just be tools of the trade. You know, when you're making like peanut brittle or something like that, and you got to break it up. You know, a morning star, a spiked steel ball on the end of a pole would probably help.
That's true.
It's the traditional
package
method,
your peanut brittle.
That's the secret to their taffy. Why it's so aerated.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, that's like the Joker's actually keeping the candy factory going too. Like, well, something has to pay the lease in this place. So.
Yeah, exactly.
It's how he funds all of his crime.
The fact though, the implications of the fact that the Joker has found the secret to immortality. And also like rapid weight loss as well. The fact he turned Tim Drake into him and he lost like 40 pounds and stuff. It's like, if you just sold the patent to that dude, you never need to rob another bank. You'd be set for life, for Christ's sake. But
it is weird. We've talked about that before. I like the whole plot and stuff. It's just the physical transformation doesn't make a lick of sense. Why has he changed physically into the Joker?
Like the skip to the end of the chunk too, once like he turns back to Tim, we never get like a, you know, at the end of the Nutty Professor, like when Buddy Love's turning back into Sherman Klump and like, you know, his ass inflates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is just very much like, oh, he just somehow, I don't know if the Joker's girdle gives out or what the hell he was doing to like.
He's all strapped down, really.
It'd have to be, because like, he might be able to like, oh, he can rewrite his DNA to the point where his skin turns white or whatever. But like, where does if he's got body mass, where does it go? Like, he literally gets thinner and stuff. Like, it has to go
somewhere.
One place it can go.
In the writing room, the point where the writers look at each other and go like, yeah, sure, why not? Like they start out with the most like, okay, we're going to have this, we got these. And then they get the big pieces together and they get them all moving. And then they come to like, okay, now this is a spot where these pieces don't fit. What are we going to do? And then they're like, okay, let's go to the MacGuffin bag. Let's go to the genetic remodification bag. Let's go to the, you know, AI Android bag.
The writers are lucky that they're operating inside the world of Batman Beyond, because so much batshit insane stuff happens in this world. Like, you have someone in this movie who is literally half human, half hyena. You've got, you know, that the villain I mentioned earlier, Ink, who like has these full-on Venom style Alex Mack turn into liquid powers.
And don't forget Clayface.
You know, you can do literally anything. You can do literally anything in this world, as long as you've got some sort of, you know, Star Trek technobabble to back it up. It's all microchips.
You know what? That would be a fun podcast where you just go and talk about the weird shit in Batman and call it Bat shit.
Next week on Batshit, the shittiest character of all, Clayface, because he looks like shit. Got to bleep all that out as well.
Say that about him.
Bleep all that out. People's like, what are they saying Clayface looks like? It's like, what do you think he looks like?
Yeah.
It's up to you to make that decision, listener.
I do think this would have been a good opportunity if you wanted to not go the super high-tech route, even though we're in a super high-tech setting. Say, oh yeah, it's not the Joker who's returned, it's Clayface. He's come back as this amazing acting role of his, which is, Clayface as an over-the-top actor is definitely one of the things I liked most about the Harley Quinn cartoon. I appreciate that they brought Mark Hamill back for all of the parts in Batman Beyond, but I definitely do appreciate some of the newer voice talent like Alan Tudyk, who brings a certain flair to Clayface that I think would have been,
if you will.
It would have been tonally inconsistent for this movie, so I'm going to stop talking about it.
Although this is the last official chunk we'll get with Mark Hamill, actually, because he's out of the movie, out of our remit after this, then, because we won't be covering any more movies that feature Mark Hamill.
But we'll never stop talking about you, Mark. We love you.
We'll never stop talking about
Mark. Just this week, they had the whole debacle where they released the Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. Which of course had Kevin Conroy's last performance as Batman, and there's a little snippet that's been going around showing you what it was, and people have been very emotional about it and stuff. And it's weird because it's like it kind of feels like they wrote it to be his last ever scene. It's like, did they know he was dying? Like what was happening? But upon the original release, though, the original word was like, "Oh, Mark Hamill's in the credits, so it's him doing the Joker." And then the original clip is like, "That's not Mark Hamill. That sounds nothing like Mark Hamill." But he's in the credits. And people were still like in comment sections. And we're like, well, if it says he's in the credits, it's definitely him. He's just playing a younger version of the Joker. It's like, I know what the Joker sounds like. We've heard him enough times. But just this week, they didn't announce anything. They just put it out on like a digital streaming service. And people were like, oh, that voice in it now, that sounds like Mark Hamill. But is it him this time? Is it a guy they just re-recorded it with someone who sounds a lot more like him? Like what? And there's no word, no official word on like why was it blatantly not him in the original release, and why is it now maybe him or just a better guy that they got into it who sounds a lot more on the ball,
I kind of like the idea that they won't tell you. Enjoy the mystery.
Keep it a secret.
Yeah.
Because the fact though that they just don't say anything also makes it seem like this Mark Hamill, because the film's got terrible reviews, so I don't know if Mark Hamill is like, I'm not lend my voice to that. But somehow they're like, let's put his name on it anyway.
Because Mark Hamill has famously never been in any bad movies.
Never, ever, no.
But I was going to make a Last Jedi joke there as well, but I actually like the Last Jedi. I'm not gonna open us up to that to being one of those podcasts,
Oh God, yeah, especially because I love it.
Last Jedi is great.
Yeah.
Well, but anywho. So Terry McGinnis is down there on the floor, and I think I actually just noticed he doesn't currently have the gauntlet on his hand. The gauntlet that the Joker's been electrocuting him with. If you look at him there in the floor, it's not on his hand currently, but it will be in a couple of seconds' time. So
yeah, because Bruce Wayne has a dog that can bite through steel.
Oh, that was crazy.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't believe... I didn't sort of think about that when I was watching the movie through. It was when we broke it down, and I'm like, wait a second.
Like, that dog can actually chew through metal. Okay.
It can chew through...
That's wild.
It can not even chew through metal. It can bite metal off into shards
snaps,
with one quick snap. It's like...
It's like really brittle pig iron or something. It's just like... it's just poorly made.
It's supposed to also be shooting
plastic, it's cheap plastic.
Yeah. But it's also supposed to be shooting like electricity through it the entire time. So it's like, not only is he, well, we actually find out a few seconds later he's not electric proof, but he was, I don't know, dog enough to bite that thing off, though, despite the fact that it was like pumping 5,000 volts into Terry at any given second. But,
I'm kind of enjoying the idea that Joker's like this crazy genius at all things, but his hobby is blacksmithing and he's terrible at it. Which his iron sucks. That's why he's got that mace, that Morning Star on the counter.
Yes.
It's like a project he's working on. He just can't get the points right. They're kind of cockeyed. He just he's good at everything, but he's just not great at blacksmithing. And as a result, Batman can always get away from his shit because his handcuffs and stuff are terrible.
He's been auditioning for Forged in Fire for so long, and he always gets rejected in the first round.
Oh, and then all of his goons are telling him, boss, I think you should probably stop doing that, and we'd get Batman once and for all. He's like, no, I just really like to do it. It's
do it
going
my
in all
way.
of my plans.
I like the idea, though, that he auditioned for season 6 way back when. Yeah. And now it's like season 406.
He still hasn't gotten a response from his audition tape, and he's waiting.
And they're like, sorry, sir, it's still no.
Yeah. They heard about one of the people in the show being a serial killer, and he's like, that could have been me.
Right, considering that, as we see in this fight, Terry, he learns very quickly, I'm going to fight dirty. He doesn't care. He's not like Bruce. Considering that, shouldn't he probably just let Ace, with those amazing jaws, just bite the Joker's head off?
Yeah.
Just kill him, eat his face.
Ace jumps on the Joker at one point and then scuttles off again. And it's like, bite him now. Like,
but he's well trained now. Dogs aren't supposed to.
Yeah, so Ace is trained by Batman, and Batman doesn't fight dirty. So Ace has been trained not to fight dirty.
He bit the hyena boy like 2 chunks ago.
That was a hyena ban.
Well, Ace is also a little speciesist. So since hyena boy's not a full human, he's like, he doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's been a lot of meetings between like Bruce and Ace to be like, okay, this is yet another HR meeting. You need to respect people for their humanity. And Ace is like, he's literally half hyena. I only have to respect him halfway.
It doesn't count when they're half hyena, goddammit.
It could be that Ace is being extra sadistic, though, because we know he particularly wants revenge against the Joker, because when the Joker broke into the Batcave, he, beat up Ace. We didn't see it, but we heard it off screen. And it could be that he's like, oh, no. I'll be back for you. We're only getting started here, man. I'm about to get medieval on your ass. I as a dog, I'm gonna use that mace on you.
I like an animal that bears a grudge. Like the shark in Jaws the Revenge.
This is the Ace the Revenge. Also will eventually star Michael Caine in a couple of movies as well. I can't ever hear people say sick 'em as well without ever thinking of Stand By Me and Chopper Sick Balls as well, which is I'm always slightly disappointed when people don't say the full thing, because just go sick 'em. It's like, no, you have to say that now. It's moved so much into my everyday parlance that I'm like, oh, come on, guys, get with it, get with the times, will you? So Ace then eventually does try to come, he frees Terry from his iron shackle, and then goes to try to hit him again, and then Joker strikes a pose to take him out. He's a proper, I call this one Saturday Blight Fever, and just does a proper... Just whacks him out of the sky. It's actually...
I will say the Joker's pretty adept at hand-to-hand in this one. It's like he's always got his ideas, he's always got his tricks, he's always got his plots, but if he gets down to it, he can fight.
Yeah, I always find it weird.
He can fight way better in this movie than he can back in the BTAS.
Oh, yeah. Then he was just like,
I love that they add that extra line. He adds that extra line where it's like, oh, because he's half inhabiting Tim Drake's body.
Bruce Timm would be amazing.
I was about to say, because he's got the old Robin body, and Robin had all the Batman training, that means that Joker also has.
Yeah, I was thinking it had to do something with that. Or that's how they would have training.
That's very clever.
It makes total sense too, because he does. Tim Drake earlier in the movie does say that old training never goes away. So there you go. It's it's hard coded into him. That actually makes a lot. Because one of my notes was also yeah, he's really giving it to Terry. Considering the Joker back in the day wasn't all that much of a fighter. He would just get a couple of stabs in, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like any.
He would always run away.
I don't like it when it shows the Joker physically fighting a lot. Usually, it kind of annoys me, because they've done it a few times in certain comics will do it. Certain animations will do it. And I never like it. He shouldn't be a hand-to-hand guy. But as you say here, now you've explained this potential theory, I think it fits. Yeah.
It's not a theory. It's literally a line in the movie.
No, but
says,
like, it never explicitly addresses that is why he can fight.
Yeah. He says, "You're out of your league, McGinnis. I know every trick the original Batman and Robin knew at their peak."
But I thought my version of that was he means like, I know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Because
like,
he's trained you.
Yeah, I've observed them enough over the years to know, like, I remember everything that they will do tactic-wise and stuff like that.
But also, I mean, it easily translates to martial prowess as well, because...
Yeah. That's great.
Listen, knowing the technique is half the battle, like G.I. Joe said. Speaking of dated references, I do appreciate that Joker busts out the reference that nobody in this timeline would recognize, saying "end of the line, Snoopy." Terry would hear that and be like, "Who the hell is Snoopy?"
What are you talking about? Yeah.
They keep bringing Snoopy back, though. Like, that Peanuts movie, like, 6 or 7 years ago as well. It's like, they're going to keep trying. Like, he's too immortal.
If you want to like, a little dip into the zeitgeist at the moment, I was telling my 13-year-old that I have to report a podcast at a bit. She's like, "What's it for?" And I'm like, "It's for the Batman show, talking about like Return of the Joker." She's like, "Oh, did you know they're making a new animated series? And the same people who did it made Batman the animated series." And I'm like, how the hell do you know about Batman the animated series? Let alone enough to make a parallel between the two. I was like, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
So, the kids are into it these days.
I will say, though, because I did a little, the fact that we got Snoopy brought up, and probably the most sinister way that anyone's ever said the name Snoopy as well.
Snoopy.
Snoopy. It's like, I'll do a little nosy into Snoopy, because what other opportunity are we ever going to have to talk about Snoopy on the show?
Yeah.
But a bunch of random facts I found out about him, that like he was based off Charles Schultz's dog Sniffy, things like that. But I also found out apparently he's one of several fictional cartoon characters who has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize a fictional character could.
Neither did I, but then going through some of them, I was a bit... Some make sense, and some are just like... There's some absences that I would call into question.
Now, my question is, I found out a while ago, and it always struck me as interesting, that if you have your star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, it's because you bought it. Like
I heard
the
about
actor
that recently.
pays for the installation and all the stuff. How Snoopy do that?
Well, he had, supporters after his sterling service in World War I, fighting the Red Baron.
So it was all like a veterans.
Probably sponsored by Veterans Society or something like that.
That's it. Yeah, charities paid for it. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, the more
like you can buy your way onto the Hollywood Walk of Fame, like you're talking, but I think most of the time, it's I guess people sponsoring the star. Be like, oh, hey, we're star makers. Let's put this specific person on, and then.
Well, I was going to say that like
you can buy your way on.
Yeah, I was going to say that like Batman doesn't have a star on there, which I was like, Superman doesn't have a star on there. But I guess it could be that like, well, who's bought that star for them? Like, Superman is a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and is paid for by Clark Kent. Like, what the hell is happening there? Yeah. Maybe like, wait a second,
that's shady.
No, but the list of current fictional characters on the Hollywood Walk of Fame: Alvin and the Chipmunks.
It's like a PR stunt.
I can imagine Dave doing that, like him and like, oh boy, my boys, I got you on the. And Dave, we don't want to be on the. Big Bird.
That was disturbingly good.
I wasn't expecting it to be that good either, too. I shocked myself.
You just channeled it, man. You just channeled it.
Big Bird, Bugs Bunny, and then of course Donald Duck has to instantly follow him for the eternal struggle between Disney and Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
they're all good choices, though. Yeah, that makes sense.
Kermit the Frog's on there.
Yeah.
Godzilla, of course. Godzilla. Yeah, so, apparently paid for by Toho as well. It says for so
that's a weird one because I don't know. It's like Hollywood. I assume they meant like, oh, it's stars of American film. Godzilla's not had a good track record in American cinema.
Godzilla's everyone's, star.
He belongs to the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's a world star.
He's everyone's, that nuclear breath shines so brightly. He is everyone's star.
Yeah.
Of course, but then Pee Wee Herman. Like Pee Wee has a star. Batman doesn't, but Pee Wee Herman is on there.
But I think
we forget how big he was because he wasn't that big here. That's the thing.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is that you need to start a GoFundMe campaign to get Batman a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's what I'm hearing.
or Bat Minute.
Yeah, I think that is what you need. You need to get Bat
you guys
Minute
start the
on the Walk of Fame.
GoFundMe.
Then all the
It'll
tourists.
be for Batman, paid for by Bat Minute.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, get both, double whammy.
Yeah.
I mean, great though, having like the premiere there, and you get like Michael Uzlan and Bob Kane's people coming down and stuff, and then we reveal the star and it says Bat Minute instead. When John is like giving them the finger, like "fuck you, asshole."
So they reread the invitation, and are like, "Nope, says it right there." Fuck.
Because then
Tiny small print at the bottom.
Mickey and Minnie Mouse, which is
Yeah,
fair enough.
makes sense.
Then the Munchkins, like the Munchkins.
Oh.
The
From Wizard of
Yes,
Oz.
the
I
Wizard
think that
of
was
Oz
like a
Munchkins.
reparations payment for how they were treated on set. They're like,
Oh, God.
let's give
I
them
was
a
about to say,
star.
That'll keep them
That's
quiet.
like saying like there's a Hollywood star of fame for like Filipinos.
Yeah, like that's a race of people,
You've given one star to an entire race,
which is kind of a
people.
thumbs down because no one
Or
else wants a
nationality, I
1-star
should
rating.
say.
Yeah.
Listen, I went to Munchkin Land. I'm giving it a 1 star. They gave me a pair of shoes and then kicked me out the door.
The food portions were too
Terrible
small.
hospitality.
Although then following that, the Muppets also have their own star.
That makes sense.
But then also
Yeah.
Kermit has his own, and then the Muppets is like, oh no,
Yeah, there was a
want my-
lot of beef about that.
Well, they do this in wrestling with the WWE Hall of Fame. Like, if you're really big, you get your Hall of Fame ring. But then if you were in a big like tag team or faction, they get a Hall of Fame. So you end up with like, there's one guy who's got like 3 rings. It's ridiculous. Like, well, 3-time Hall of Famer. Like, what?
It feels like that would be the setup for like a Muppets movie, though. Would be like it would open with them getting their star, and then Kermit would have a big falling out with them over this, that, and the other, and then the climax of the movie would be them presenting Kermit with his. They're like, "Oh, for everything you've done for us, Kermit," and all this sort of stuff, and it'd be a big emotional scene. So anyone out there currently writing a Muppets movie,
Yeah.
there you go. There's your scenes right there.
That's something that I don't think they've done. I don't think the Muppets have taken Hollywood.
I feel
yet.
like
They've taken
the only
Manhattan,
thing you should
but-
focus on is them working the studio system back and forth. So it should be called the Muppets Take Residuals.
Yes. I'm into it.
Just an hour and a half of intense
Negotiations and contract battles
for
and-
contracts.
Then
You could have David Zaslav be the villain.
Oh, yes. I'm into
but then-
this. Let's get it. Let's crowdfund that.
but then we have Winnie the Pooh in there, and then
Cool, yeah.
the Rugrats, which I was a bit like,
Come on. I mean, I like the Rugrats,
That's
but
out of left field.
that one's a bit,
Yeah.
that wasn't too sure. And then after that, although this one makes more sense, I guess, Shrek has a,
Oh, yeah, okay.
a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
it's a modern equivalent of the ones you've listed already.
A fairly latecomer.
Yeah,
all
and
things
pregnant
considered.
Shrek.
Listen, Shrek is love. Shrek is life.
I did once see you're gonna have to cut this. I did once see a drag show where the drag queen dressed as Princess Fiona, and then Shrek did come and fist her intestines out of her.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
I was warned beforehand by the queen, like, oh, this is going to be like extreme.
There's also now like the idea of like inviting like Cameron Diaz and Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy and stuff like that. It's like, oh, we're gonna get a new star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame for Shrek, and then like revealing the star and it's pregnant Shrek instead.
Yeah.
just to see the reaction. But then you have The Simpsons, of course, Snoopy, Snow White, the Walt Disney version, Tinkerbell, and Woody Woodpecker is the last of the fictional cartoon characters there. Which
That also works. I get that. Yeah.
I don't know, Woody Woodpecker to me was a bit like, I guess back in the day maybe he was a lot bigger, but like he's kind of out of the cultural lexicon now, I think.
I think, yeah, well, he is, but he was big in his day.
Yeah,
I
he's
never
huge.
particularly liked him, but yeah.
Because I also looked at, because underneath, obviously, in on the Wikipedia, they also have live action animals, and there's only 3 of them. Again, in terms of like talking about like, oh, maybe Snoopy wouldn't be in people's minds in 2040. this is an example of when that type of thing happens, because like live action animals,
are they all dogs?
They are all dogs.
Benji, Lassie.
You got one. You got one out of those two is on there.
There's got to be Lassie, right?
Yeah.
Maybe like Hooch from Turner and Hooch, maybe.
Oh, Beethoven. Yeah.
Now we're just naming dog movies.
You know, Airbud.
No, we got Lassie, Rin Tin Tin.
Okay, an Alsatian.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Or a German Shepherd.
Everything's connected.
And actually another German Shepherd, Strongheart, who I've never heard of.
I was about to say, I don't remember.
Never heard of.
No. Clicking on now, his actual name was Etzel von Orangen. So maybe, I don't know, but it might have been another like post-war thing where they're like, because he died in 1929, so well before the war.
Okay, so it wasn't a Nazi dog.
Yeah, but they're like,
the Nazis were still in action then.
They were, but
they started earlier than people think.
Are you saying he was a secret, like, early Nazi?
Yeah.
Maybe he was part of the beer hall putsch. When was that? That was the 30s? Oh, I don't know. I don't remember. I should know this. I have a goddamn history degree.
It's going to be like the deleted scene from the end of Cabaret. Is like all the Nazis infiltrating the Kit Kat Club and also appearing in Strongheart movies.
Yeah.
And they're like, Bob Fosse was like, I don't think people remember who Strongheart was because he died before 1930, for God's sake. So,
here you go, beer hall putsch, where the Nazis tried to take over the country, 1923.
Oh, I was completely expecting you to say beer hall putsch attended by Strongheart. Yeah, there we go.
Well, that's what I mean. He could have attended it. He could have been there.
He was over there.
Could have been Hitler's right-hand man.
He was biting the electric, like hand cuff off everyone over there, like jumping on the police, not biting them, just like Ace in this very.
That's how Hitler got out of jail for it. He wasn't released. The dog bit him out.
Right through the bars.
Yeah.
But was that dog Strongheart? Maybe he got his look into it. Maybe he got his star revoked. We'll never know.
Oh, we're besmirching this poor dog.
But yeah, that's one of those things though. Just like, because I think someone mentioned recently that like. They made a Marx Brothers joke, and they're like, I don't know, the Marx Brothers have got another generation in them. I feel they're just gonna disappear, like out of the public consciousness altogether.
No, I agree.
Yeah, but it's just like, I wonder who will be the people. Like I mentioned it on the show recently, but like the fact that I talked to two 28-year-olds who didn't know what Ally McBeal was.
Yeah,
is still stunning to me. And I was like, it was one of the biggest shows of the 90s, for God's sake. It was everywhere.
I think the problem with that is, though, at least over here, it just doesn't get repeated. Unlike, say, Friends, which was on like 10 times a day, every day.
Yeah. It's going to be, Ally McBeal's going to have to go off into that sweet purgatory of forgotten characters with Strongheart and...
her and that dumb dancing baby.
Oh God!
I'll ask this question though, because Terry doesn't seem to feel any sort of guilt about this, but like so Ace is taken care of by the Joker, although he's still standing, to be fair, but
he gets back up, and he's important because it's this tussle that dislodges the joy buzzer, Chekhov's joy buzzer.
Yes,
but then that dislodges his tussle dislodges it. Which means that goes in there, and then the laser goes off. And I wonder if any level of Terry feels guilt. Because he's like, yeah, if I hadn't done that, then that wouldn't have gone in there, and I could have just, like, the laser didn't need to go off at all. But, like, I guess I kind of killed those people by tackling the Joker.
Yeah.
Like, Terry doesn't have any remorse for public damage. Like, that's been well established early on in the movie. With all of the forklift accidents we've had, largely caused by people who were not forklift certified, I'm sure.
I mean, Liz can speak to that.
Like, if things are blowing up around him, Terry's not like, oh no, that was my fault.
Yeah, but it's the type of thing that I imagine, like as they would refer to it in this clip, the real Batman would feel guilt over that. Bruce would be really beating himself up, like, oh, if I hadn't done that. But maybe it's just the folly of youth is
also
maybe
Terry's not carrying around nearly as much psychic damage and luggage as Batman is, so he's like
right. Terry only lost one parent.
Yeah.
That's just one. He's got half the
emotional damage.
Yeah. Although the Joker planned to finish the job there because presumably he watched Batman '89. He's like, I could have killed Batman's parents. well, I'll take care of one of them now, I suppose.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, you know that because of like, I guess like this is relatively canon. He feels guilty about his parents' death because he's the one that wanted to leave the theater, no matter what they're watching, which changes property to property. He's the one that wanted to leave, and he's the reason they died. So if he's holding that guilt as his core memory of why they died, then every time someone dies, he's going to blame himself.
No, that might be the thing though, because Bruce watching this through Terry's eyes. And Terry gets back that night. He's like, "Hey, great job, right, boss?" He's like, "I can't believe you killed all those people."
Like technically, it wasn't me; it was a Joker. But okay.
Yeah, but then he'd be like, "Well, but Bruce, it wasn't your fault. You're just a kid who wanted to leave the theater." Like, it's the same thing, Terry. Like, if you hadn't have done that, then those people wouldn't have died.
Speaking of leaving, it's low key ridiculous to me that the Joker thinks that he can just turn around and walk away from this situation. Oh no, the laser's coming straight for us. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to just come back another day and we'll fight again. And Terry's like, "What are you talking about, dude?"
I love that though. I love the fact like, it's the sheer disregard he has for Terry altogether. It's just like, oh well, that's that plan ruined. But like, I'll be back for another one. Just like, oh, I don't have to have a final tussle with you because you're not a proper Batman. So like, yeah,
well,
whatever.
Plus it's kind of what he's used to as well. He's like, well, this is what we do. We go back and forth. I'll come back in a couple of weeks and I'll have another shot at it. Well played, Bat and Dog. Well played.
I think it's my favorite delivery from Hamill in this movie is when Terry says like, "I'm taking you in," and he just goes like, "Right." Like he's just laughing off like the idea that you're gonna take me in. Like, well, get out of here, asshole. Go play with your toys, kid.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. God, you clearly are new around here.
But it's nice though because like it's so dismissive and it's such a blow to Terry's ego, I guess. But then that's the exact tactic he uses on the Joker later.
Yeah, his whole like, "I'm gonna get you by telling you you're not funny."
I really like that. Like at first when he's sort of berating the Joker. Well, actually no. Throughout the whole thing, I think his trash talk. It's not the wittiest of lines, is it? They're not the wittiest attacks. But it works.
Yeah.
It gets him. It gets him the more he does it. Yeah.
Terry's being a heckler. Hecklers are not the most clever or quick thinking or smart people that you're ever going to see, but they have that ability to get underneath the comic skin.
Yeah. It was a good thing it wasn't like a heckler situation like Michael Richards back in the day. The Joker.
Oh my God!
The Joker just canceling himself there, and then Terry be like, "Whoa, dude, Jesus Christ!"
That'd be a great short. It's like adapted like that, where he starts making fun of him. He starts just dropping just a whole lot of racial slurs.
The cancellation of the Joker.
Oh, the Joker
like,
is like,
I didn't know
he was racist.
Like,
Jesus Christ, like wiping the makeup off.
Like, you're terrible.
Like, oh, no.
You kill people, you're remorseless, you're a psychopath, but never thought you were racist, Joker.
To be fair,
all those gangbangers are like, "Listen, buddy, we don't want to be associated with you if you're going to use that type
Everyone
of language."
comes out, like condemning his actions, all the gang members.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be amazing. Please, somebody make this, please. Even a fan thing.
Yeah. But I will say, though, like, because I know, John, you've had a sort of a checkered past with Terry so far. You're found it a bit of annoying and stuff. Like,
no, I enjoy the character, but I don't like him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's annoying, but of course he's annoying. He's like a kid.
He does something here, though, because all, the big section of the chunk we'll get to in a moment is, of course, his big takedown of the Joker, which is great in its own right. But what I really love is, like, it's kind of, it's right there for you to see on screen, but like if you're not paying attention, you mightn't pick up that's what's actually happening. But I love the fact because the Joker like wallops the crap out of him, and there's the whole like, well, there's a whooping you're asking for. But the fact that Terry gets up and it looks as if he's going to run away, but what he's actually doing is going over to shut the door and break it so the Joker can't get out. And then he's just like, "Let's go, bozo." And that's such a kind of like, oh, that's a really badass move because you're also reminded too, like, oh, that laser is coming for them as well. So Terry's just like, oh yeah, if we both die, whatever. But you said you want to fight me. I'm making sure you can't get out of the room either because I'm gonna knock the crap out of you as well.
No,
you're not. I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me.
Yeah, it's really badass. Like I love it. To me, as a casual Beyond viewer. It's the making of Terry to me. It takes him from being an annoying kid to like, oh, okay, no, he's the real deal now.
Well, I mean, that's got to be his arc, where this is where he's like probably the first time he's acting like Batman versus being a kid with a costume who could fight and like going to fight crime and, you know, pretending to be, he's actually acting like a hero.
He's earned it now. Now he is Batman.
He's acting like a hero, except for the part where he knees the Joker square in the crotch.
There's no holds barred when it comes
You're trying to stop a
street
psychopath.
fights.
Yeah,
I even had the question that too, because like he goes for that, and then the Joker's is like the real Batman, and it's like the real Batman was taking on like street muggers with like smoke bombs and batarangs and like grappling hooks. It's like Batman never fought fair. Like he always had the advantage over people because he was like hiding in the shadows with a cape so they can't see you. That's already fighting dirty.
Thing.
Yeah, but it's already fighting dirty though. It's like he's not going down for like put up your dukes. He's like a Marquis de
Queensberry, you know, like scrap him out and like in the behind the school or whatever. He's doing what he needs to do. This is just a variation of that.
Yeah, plus, I just like the idea that he's different to Bruce. Like he's got Bruce's morals and things, but he's different. He doesn't see anything wrong with fighting dirty. I wouldn't. You're stopping crime.
Well, I think what you were saying there, George, is like, oh, this is the first scene he's really acting like Batman, but he's also not acting like Batman. He's going beyond Batman. He's doing.
There you go. It all ties in.
It makes sense now.
But he's like, I love the fact that because throughout the history of BTAS in particular, you see Bruce's relationship with the Joker, and there's the occasional bit of witticism where like. There's that one was all set in the I think it was called The Last Laugh, and it was like all set in the junkyard and stuff. At the end, like Batman's like, "Clean up your act, Joker," and the Joker's like, "Oh, that was a joke, right?" And he'll give the odd little like smirk and say something clever to the Joker as a kind of barbed thing. And then of course there is the big moment in the Mad Love episode where like the climax of the episode is like Harley has captured Batman to kill him for the Joker and to make the Joker's original plan work of feeding him to piranhas by hanging him upside down. So the piranhas look like they're smiling. And this is Harley's like, oh, I perfected my Puddin's plans. And then the Joker shows up and he's just like, what in the other fuck do you think you're doing? Like, that's my job. And he cuts Batman down and he's just like, oh, sorry about the kid. She doesn't understand all this kind of stuff. But
it's not funny if you have to explain the joke.
Exactly. But then Batman saying at the end of that is like, it's basically what he's kind of telling. It's kind of what Terry's doing, but not to the same degree. Because he starts saying to the Joker, like, she almost had me. Like, that's the closest that anyone's ever come to killing me. It's closer than you ever got anyway. And that riles Joker up because, as Bruce says here, he's vain.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot. I mean, honestly, what it boils down to what Terry is doing right here is the heckler version of, you suck!
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not the height of discourse, but it works.
I like the fact, though, that, like, within the continuity of the characters in this universe, you see that like Bruce figured out enough about the Joker. It's like, oh, he's vain. So if you prick him with like, you ain't so hot, it'll get to him. But Bruce isn't a naturally funny guy. So he's just like, I never thought to just like laugh at him and make fun of him. And like, but Terry is like a smart aleck. So he's like,
exactly.
Oh, that's how you get
something they illustrated really well in an episode of Community where Rob Corddry was there and he's talking to Chevy Chase, and Chevy Chase says, "Oh, you're a lawyer. I used to eat lawyers like you for breakfast. I could break your mind with a word." And Rob Corddry's like, "You're old." And Chevy Chase hops up. He's like, "You son of a bitch! I'll
kill you." Love it. And he gets one over on the Joker here, I think, because where he says, the real reason you kept coming back was you never got a laugh out of the old man. I love that line.
Yeah.
That's so good. Because the other stuff I said wasn't witty, but that is so clever.
Yeah, that's the insight. That's the like, okay, all right, now you really kind of see what's going on underneath all this. You're not just like being sassy. You actually are pulling this guy apart because you kind of like see what makes him tick. And the fact that the only laugh he gives him is a ha ha, as in like mocking rather than thinking it's funny, that's just the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
He does get a little bit of a dig in at Bruce as well, saying that he's got no sense of humor. He wouldn't know a good joke if it bit him in the cape.
It's true, though. It's true. He's just being honest.
Yeah,
They've all got their strengths and weaknesses, and that's one of Bruce's strength or weakness, depending how you view it. And I think he's correct here. Like, I think the Joker, not necessarily a literal laugh, but he comes back because, as we've always talked about, they have this sort of weird bond, don't they? Yeah. He almost sort of loves Batman in a strange way, the Joker. And I think that's what it is. It's like he's wanting to get something out of him repeatedly. He wants to push him and things like that. And,
yeah, I mean, that's the central core of Lego Batman is like you guys have a stronger relationship than anything else in your lives with each other. And when you're, it's like a breakup. It's like they treat it like that. Once you sort of put that spin on it, it puts the whole thing in a different light.
It's And the main thing that Joker wanted is he wanted to laugh with Batman. He doesn't want Batman to be laughing at him, which is exactly what Terry's doing. And the difference between having someone laugh with you versus someone laugh at you is really the underline of why Joker's getting so pissed off.
Absolutely. Yeah. Although Terry, we said he's being funny and making jokes and stuff. But his idea for A material is for the Joker to drop his pants. And I'm like, Terry, that's not that funny,
that's the
man.
kid coming back out. He's like, let's do a fart joke. Come on. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But no.
I should have changed the joy buzzer for a
Joker,
fart
I need to emphasize this. No racial slurs. Those are not funny.
If I say a racial slur with my pants down, like, that'll be half funny, I guess.
Yeah, Terry should have swapped out the electric buzzer thing for like a fart machine, like Leslie Nielsen used to carry around. Have you seen him? He used to do interviews and just let off this fart machine all the time.
I wonder if that was because remember we covered way back in Batman Returns that like there was that one actor who was the doctor coming out of the room at the beginning when the Penguin's born was the guy who did the vocals for Leslie Nielsen peeing in The Naked Gun.
Oh,
which
yeah.
Was one of random. I wonder if Leslie Nielsen hired that guy to do the fart noises for a personalized fart machine that he made.
I can see
that. Old Hollywood and all that. Where's Leslie Nielsen's star?
People always assume that Leslie Nielsen got that fart machine, after becoming a comedy icon, Naked Gun and all that. No, he was using it to mess with people when he was still a serious actor. So he always had it in him.
That could have been a good audition for because his whole strength was how straight faced he was in the face of ridiculousness. Leslie Nielsen's biggest strength was that he just played it dead seriously. Yeah. So it could have been the Zucker brothers saw remember those interviews he used to do where he just pretended nothing happened, but he's letting off rip roaring farts. That's the guy. That's the kind of guy we need.
Maybe, yeah.
Don't call me Shirley.
But I love though talking about people breaking because the Joker breaks so easily though. It's within two insults. It's probably don't you say that about me, you little. And then later on, I'm not hearing this. He's really easily
as if
freaking out
he's
of it.
Severely mentally unstable.
Exactly. Exactly.
I know, right? Crazy.
And it's just no one's ever because he's so I guess freakishly scary that no one's ever thought to just guffaw the guy off and just be like. Look at some asshole over here with whoopee cushion full of cyanide or whatever. Get a life, asshole.
No, I actually think that is a thing. I think nobody's ever thought of it. Nobody's ever sort of tackled him at his own game. I
think that's also too it's a thing I think Paul Dini does in his writing of the Joker in particular because I think Paul Dini came back to write the script for Arkham Knight as well. And the end of that game is all the Joker takes over Batman's body because he exists as a virus in him or something like that. And
I'll say, where did he hear that before?
Well, there you go. So the last bit of the game is you're in Joker Batman's mind, and then Batman's trying to come back. But basically, he keeps hinting to the Joker from within that after a while though, the people are just going to forget about you though, because you're just you're already dead. So now you're just going to fade away into obscurity, and no one's going to care. You're going to be like Strongheart. Or the Marx Brothers or something like that, and that's what gets the Joker. That's what makes him loosen his grip on Batman's mind is that he's going around going stop, no one's gonna forget me. I'm the Joker, I'm a big deal. And then Batman keeps blasting.
I'm the Joker, baby.
Yeah, the thing that really gets him is the idea that people could actually just not care about the Joker after a while when his whole thing is I'm getting in your face and I'm making you care about me, et cetera, et cetera. And then it's well, once the joke's over, it's over. Then you're just gonna be gone.
Yeah. Everyone pays so much attention to Joker because he's a psychopath, but they often overlook the fact that he's so incredibly narcissistic that it's. I mean, they're basically two heads of the same coin, two sides of the same coin. That's him.
That's kind of the thing too, his counterpart to because Batman usually would be you see at the end of The Dark Knight Rises or several iterations of Batman because he's a symbol, and he's sort of like he has the bat signal, and people sort of look to him as a beacon of hope and stuff like that. He will be remembered. The idea of Batman lives beyond him, But the Joker, the idea that he's his counterpart is like, oh, he's all Flash. But then once he's done the thing, people are gonna forget about that after a while because he's not standing for anything. And until you get into like the Heath Ledger and now Joaquin Phoenix Joker of it all, where he does now stand for something, which is a whole other entity unto itself. But I will note too, though, as well, that like because people point out, quite a bit that Terry McGinnis is very similar to Peter Parker in his fighting style and his whole smart alecky, quippy way of dealing with villains. And so one of the big age-old questions would be like, if Spider-Man were to fight the Joker, who would win? And this has in fact actually been answered in a comic.
Yeah.
Because they did do a big crossover event a while back.
That's wild to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, you got Spider-Man, Batman, Disordered Minds, wherein again too it's a very similar concepts going around here that's set in a universe where Marvel and DC are just like coexisting. So Spider-Man just already exists in that world. There's no multi-dimensional what's-its. But like, yeah, Cletus Cassidy there, Carnage, has been treated with a microchip that in a kind of Clockwork Orange way just sort of pacifies him and like makes him not psycho anymore and it doesn't have violent tendencies. So they also give that to the Joker. And they're like, oh, and then, present this to people like, oh, look at this, this thing we made. But then eventually Carnage breaks out and then him and the Joker team up. And it's a whole big thing, particularly because Cletus Cassidy was designed in his original drawings to just look like the Joker. It was just Marvel going like, we just want a version of the Joker, basically. So just draw that with red hair, and there you go. That's our new villain. But then, Batman, of course. Guess what happens? Batman and Spider-Man don't get on at first. Originally
they team off,
and then eventually doesn't take anything seriously. He makes jokes all the time.
But then at the end, Batman's fighting Carnage. Discovers the Carnage, unlike the Joker, who usually is like, a lot of iterations of the Joker is that he's sort of fearless in the face of death because he's just like, he doesn't care about anything. Although not this version. This version very much loves the idea of clinging to life, I guess. But like, so Batman freaks out Carnage by being like, well, he is terrified of dying, so he's just like, well, you're just threaten him in a normal way. But then Peter Parker, who you think would be all smart alecky and quippy with the Joker, is so aghast at him as a character because the Joker's whole scheme was to like infect bats with a Joker toxin that he was going to give out to kids at orphanages and stuff, and then the kids would get bitten and die of like, and it'd be like it was a Christmas time, so it's like, oh, this is their Christmas present. They'll open up and a bat will fly out and bite them and kill the kid. And so he goes in and he whoops the absolute crap out of the Joker because at the end of the day, Spider-Man's a superhero and the Joker's just a guy. So he's got superpowers. He can just web him up and then he's done. But like he actually really, in that version of their confrontation, which is the only official one we have, Peter Parker is so horrified by the concept of the Joker and what he wants to do, he doesn't make any jokes. He just goes in and beats the absolute crap out of him. Which is like kind of a, I guess it's a little commentary on itself. It's like, he kind of weirdly broke Peter in a way because he couldn't even make fun of him. Yeah, he's just like, I can't believe how horrible a human being you are, Joker. You deserve to get your jaw broken and stuff like that. So, but there's your answer. Who would win in that fight? Spider-Man very easily because he takes him out in like 6 seconds. But also the Joker would get to Spider-Man by being the Joker and being so, nihilistic and horrible in the face of just like, killing children. That's my Christmas fun for this year and stuff like that, which is it's kind of I guess there is no Spider-Man villain except maybe Carnage, who's that sort of because there's a whole thing where there's a whole thing within the story as well because Carnage and the Joker team up, but eventually the Joker just dumps Carnage because all Carnage wants to do is just go and kill people without any rhyme or reason. And the Joker's whole thing is like, where's the theatrics to that? Where's the art to it? Where's the joke? Like, I think he refers to himself as the Orson Welles of crime, and Carnage is the David Hasselhoff, which is like low blow, but accurate as well.
Hey, don't you dare insult the Hoff! Come on.
I was about to say, which version of Orson Welles are we talking about? Are we talking about like Citizen Kane in his prime, or are we talking about the wine commercial?
Oh, the greatest moment of all time. Oh, the French gambling.
You know who loves David Hasselhoff? Germans.
Who? Well, he tore down the Berlin Wall single-handedly, so you know.
Yep.
They're trying to bring back Strongheart because they go, David Hasselhoff is Strongheart.
Yeah, rehabilitate Strongheart for us.
I just like the idea now, though. Like in Arkham Over Dinner, Joker's sitting there with his bottle of Paul Masson wine, just, the Batman refines you. There's a...
Oh, God, I can imagine it.
Oh, man. What a great thing. It is a bit sad, though, because Orson Welles was a genius and all that and made so many masterpieces. But then it's like, oh, that's literally what I'm going to... Like, the last thought I ever have about Orson Welles in my life will probably be him going... Yeah, no, the French.
I think I quote it once a week.
But yeah, then eventually, after all this mockery, the Joker does get Terry down on the ground, takes off his mask, and then starts choking him. Very a kind of bookending of what happened. At the beginning of the movie when we call him Henry Rollins. Bonk was strangling.
I still can't get over Henry Rollins. I think I've said that 10 times.
And I love, though, again, because, Mark Hamill, obviously a very good actor and very good at conveying things. And he can get a lot across in just the tone of a laugh. So Joker's laugh in this moment, too, when he has Terry down on the ground, it isn't like his usual maniacal laugh. It feels very forced, like, I'm getting back at you. And he's having a kind of like, ha, ha, like, really wanting to stick it to him. Like, he's actually more angry than anything.
It's an anger laugh. That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, he was...
was it the rodeo clown line that really, like, tipped him over the edge? Like, what was the one heckle that seemed to... was it the... the Joker always wanted to make the Batman laugh. What was the line that cut the deepest?
I think he was telling him to drop his pants because he's a never nude. That's like Barbara. She suspected Tim because you noticed the denim cutoffs on him at one point. I didn't want to say anything,
I feel like if the Joker was more on his game, he probably would have made a "look how the tables have turned" joke as he's pinning Terry to the ground with a table.
My God, they missed that. Yes.
Maybe that's how frazzled and angry he is that he didn't even see that opportunity. Yeah. But I also I love that line though because it feels very like climax kind of thing where Terry says like, oh, the real Batman, and then the Joker he just loses it and is like, you're not Batman. Like he just like it feels like a catharsis for the whole series as well because there's probably some fans clinging on to be like, this guy's this show is okay and whatever, but that guy's he's not really Batman, is he though? Because this is Bruce Wayne's Batman and this is some kid pretending to be Batman. And so it's almost as if the Joker is giving voice to any last clinging on to the past fans to be like, this guy's not Batman though. But then to be like, he's beating the Joker though. Like that's his, and that's Batman's whole thing is to defeat the Joker. So
as I said, this is his moment. This is his graduation from Bat Academy. He's now a fully fledged Batman, and I can accept him.
I wonder though if Bruce is overhearing all this and he was just like, "Is this all I have? Have I just done this like 50 years ago? Could I have avoided a lot more?"
Just made fun of this guy, and he would have lost his shit so much I could, have broken him.
He was like, "Wow,
all those times where Joker's like holding a party hostage. If all Batman had to do was start roasting him in front of a bunch of people, so that the people start laughing at Joker, like if that's all he had to do to just stop this guy dead in his tracks.
Hindsight,
world's greatest detective, sure.
But let's hear your type
hey,
5.
Joker is like landing in like, hey Joker, is that your nose or eating a banana? Like what? The people, all the hostages sniggering away, like, shut up, man. That's also the fact too that like Terry accuses the Joker of not being funny, and you're like, does the Joker think that people thought he was funny? Like, no. Was he also like, oh no, people also think I'm hilarious on top of everything as well? Like, surely you must be aware that like you're not funny, man. You tell hackneyed old jokes and stuff, but some of them are good for an audience who are safely at home watching it as a fictional cartoon. But you ain't a funny guy in the world,
Don't let him know that. He'll be devastated. You're gonna break his heart.
John. Or he's about to be dead.
Oh.
Can't have the Joker
Or
cry.
is he?
No, because then we get it. I absolutely do love this last little final exchange where he's probably just sheer anger choking no art to this, no sort of grand scheme to it. It's just I'm just gonna choke you to death, kid, because you've annoyed me.
I absolutely love that, because it just shows how frustrated and angry he is, that he's not even doing something hilarious or funny or silly. He's I'm just gonna choke you to death. Screw you piece of crap.
Absolutely perfect little exchange of just oh, why aren't you laughing? I can't hear you. And then Terry been ha ha, and then just getting the killing blow in. It's oh, that's so good. That's classic. That's a Schwarzenegger level way of taking out a bad guy right there.
Ha ha, la vista,
and
baby.
it doesn't even matter. And it doesn't even matter that there's no way that we've seen for that joy buzzer to get from the crevice that it fell into the machine onto Terry's hand.
No,
I thought that.
It's just there.
Unless he had another one in his pocket and Terry pickpocketed him.
You could have maybe a
we
load
probably got
line around.
multiples.
Triples the best. Triples.
Yeah, you gotta have triples. Yeah, it's got to be something like that, because unless I'm misunderstanding the sort of layout of the scene, he's not been anywhere near that computer.
No. Yeah, because if it was Spider-Man, he could have webbed some over, I guess, but could have webbed it out of the thing. But and also, where's Ace in all this? Ace is just hanging back now. It's oh, kid knows what he's doing, I guess.
That guy's got this. It's fine.
Ace's job is done.
You've got to let people, confront their own destiny.
So, it must be devastating for Bruce though, watching all this, because he's seen how well Ace was doing, and then how well Terry's doing, and he's I was out there with some 12-year-old in tights, and running around with a bright yellow cape, and we never got anywhere with this asshole. And all you tell me is all I had to do was bring a dog.
My dog and then this weird wannabe have somehow bested my arch nemesis.
It's all I had to do was put a cape on a dog and then just make fun of people, and I would have I could have just cleaned up crime in about 5 months, I guess, instead of 50 years. But yeah, and then so Terry then lands as we pointed out though, the one thing in Batman Beyond that can literally defeat everybody at all times: electricity. The amount of times, despite the fact he's wearing that suit, Terry's always taken out by electricity. Ace was taken out by electricity. Ink in the show, how do you defeat Ink? You electrocute her, because you can't get around that. And then finally the Joker, how did they get rid of him? He existed in a little microchip on Tim Drake's neck, and then you just electrocute that microchip, and that's the end of him.
No, but I think here it makes sense. When it happens to Terry, I'm well, surely the very next day he would put some insulating materials in the suit or whatever. But here it works because the microchip.
Yeah.
How do you screw up a microchip? Fry it.
Yeah. But again, there's also now the ethical thing of this, much like we had in the earlier scene when Tim Drake shot the Joker, and then we're saying it'll be something if Bruce came over and he's just putting the handcuffs on Tim Drake's murder one kid, you're going to jail. It could be Terry gets back and he's just so you killed the Joker then? Just I'm taking you in, Terry. He's not
he's
really
so
dead.
Bound by his own oath.
Yeah, he's well, technically you killed him. He's but Tim Drake's still alive. He's but no, but the consciousness of the Joker is dead. So that, and I was there in your eyes. You maliciously murdered him.
I saw it all,
I guess he took the. I guess it's actually because the fact that the Joker took off the mask. I don't know if Bruce is he hearing any of this? As he just sitting there Terry, God damn it! The mask is lying in a crumpled heap over a couple of feet away. He's oh, I'm missing all of it, man. So then Terry comes back oh, the Joker died. You didn't kill him, did you? Oh no, he fell into some water and then
he slipped and fell into the water.
Yeah, pulled an electric lever and electrocuted himself, I guess. But I guess the electrocuting him to electrocuting the microchip ties into the censored version of his death that came out, where that's what happened to him. He literally got water spilt on him and then slipped and pulled a lever and then got electrocuted.
That is kind of funny, to be honest.
Yeah. Although that's kind of like, if they'd known that was going to be the original thing, writing in the script, they could have been like Terry's jabbing him could have been like the funniest thing you ever did was the way you died, assholes, slipping on a puddle and then just electrocuting yourself. Like, that's.
And I feel like the Joker would kind of like to go out that way, though.
Do you think it would be hilarious? A pratfall.
Yeah.
A final pratfall.
Well, but the Joker, at this version of the Joker, I think would be like, it's funny if it happens to someone else. But
True,
it's not funny if it happens to me. He can dole it out, but he can't take it himself, But yeah, I mean that's ostensibly the end of the chunk is the death of the Joker. Again, this is our third Joker death on the show here that we've seen.
There'll be more to come, I'm sure.
I say it's definitely the most interesting, because ostensibly this is an exorcism. Tim Drake is being possessed by the Joker, albeit through technology, and so this is Terry like hitting that joy buzzer. He's like, "Power of Christ compels you, bitch," and he just exorcises the Joker right out of Tim Drake's body.
Also, isn't this a cautionary tale about the evils of AI?
Oh my God, they've tried to warn us.
They tried to.
I think that's what we just learned about the modern world. It's like, they can try to warn you all they want. People are still going to do it, though. Like, it's AI's happening. It's like they warned you so much, and it's still happening. But
it's like, we'll do it better.
It's like that meme, isn't it? Well, I can't remember the exact wording, where it's like, we have created the Torment Nexus from the famous novel "Do Not Create the Torment Nexus."
But it's the type of thing too. Like, I imagine somebody watching this is like, "Oh, what if you could put your personality on a chip that you could put on people?" It's like the Joker did in that one movie. It's like, don't do it! What are you doing? You're nuts! Go on!
I swear to God, the military just watched Terminator and they're like, "That looks good. Yeah, let's do that." It's like, no, God damn it.
Again, I'm not going to get into any spoilers, but there's a commentary in Alien Romulus that the film then itself does. That I was a bit like, don't you see what you're doing, for God's sake? But
interesting.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But most people, I'll be happy when everyone's seen it, so I can finally be like,
listen. Give me 24 hours. You can talk about it all you want to.
But yeah, so a little bit of a shorter episode than usual. But I know, John, you're on the clock, so we gotta wrap up.
I was gonna go and see Alien, but then at the last minute, someone was like, "Come to this gig with me." So I was like, "Okay."
You're gonna go see Alien,
now it's a work thing, right?
Now it's what?
It's a work thing.
Oh no! It's purely as a fan.
I mean, if you're in the music industry now, it's like a networking event. You're like, "Oh yeah, I know you."
Well, I mean, that's always there,
Follow me on Punked.
Yes, that should be a thing. I have a LinkedIn for the music stuff. That's the least punk thing you can do.
That's hilarious. I love that a lot.
I never use it because it's like, well, no one's on there. Why would they be? What a stupid idea.
I feel like there could be some sort of statement in that, though. You
guys should utilize LinkedIn to dismantle all the systems.
I might actually do that.
Just start posting anarchic, like down with capitalism, down with the patriarchy, like just take it all down, but through LinkedIn profile.
Why not? Let's do it. Let's take LinkedIn back. It's the people's piece of crap.
Because I need one for sexy people too, called Kinkton.
That's probably a thing, let's be honest.
Well, that's called Field.
Yeah, I installed that once and then realized, it's only people looking for threesomes. I was like, okay.
Threesomes or foursomes, basically. It's very few people looking for one-on-one.
You do you, people, but that's not why I'm here.
That's what I say, but expand your palate, John. I mean, don't yuck someone else's yum until you try it.
I'm not yucking their yum. I fully support it. It's just not for me. It's not for me.
Well, how do you know until you try it? Yeah, you gotta
I don't want to try it. The fewer people who ever see me naked in the world, the better.
I promise you, there's someone out there, they're into it.
Well, probably.
But
that's a turn.
Now we've seen it. Yeah, so we had Jack Nicholson falling off that thing, off the helicopter. We had Joker getting shot through the chest by Tim Drake. Now he's electrocuted to death. And I don't. Cesar Romero, I believe, survives.
I think so. Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't remember him ever being finally dealt with.
Yeah, no, I think they always the villains never got
back
killed.
Then they never killed anybody. They arrested them.
Right.
They got out later in a perpetual cycle of
running away from the scene of the crime was the norm back in those days.
And of course, then if we eventually get to Heath Ledger, it's like, no, his version of the Joker doesn't die. But in a weird, unfortunate flip of everything, he himself then died. So like, yeah, I guess this will be our last on-screen death that we'll have to deal with for the Joker in the main season of the show. We'll probably end up doing like, bonus episodes about this, that, and the other where he dies as well. But yeah, it's
well, that's a good point, because I was thinking, what are you talking about? The Dark Knight. And I was like, wait, no.
He very, very memorably survives it at the end of that for a taunt for things to come that were never going to come. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think that's why in my head I was like, well, of course he dies in it. What are you talking about? And it's like, no, the real guy died.
There's totally a difference, John. There's a difference.
Yeah. Well, I equate them. They're the same. He was the Joker.
I can't tell them apart. He did such a good thing. He did such a good job of the role.
He was so into it, you can't tell the difference.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm happy to blow this final chunk, blow the rest of this chunk and go home.
Has everyone blown their chunks, or do you have more to say before we depart?
My chunks are pretty blown.
Yeah, I'm good.
Well, yes, as usual, we'll head off into the dark night and return in 1 week's time. We've only got a couple of episodes left for this mini season.
Yeah,
it's coming fast.
Like two, I think. two chunks left.
It's weird. And then we'll have another break. And then we'll be back with we'll have a proper season next.
Oh, so we're back. I'm mentally already in that Adam West zone. So like I'm gearing up for that. That's going to be
You're ahead of me. I haven't even begun to look at it yet. I've got a box set of all the series downstairs. Never once put it on.
Yeah,
I inherited it.
Guess you got some work to do, bud.
Yeah, now's the time, John.
I mean, I've seen them when I was a kid, but I don't remember them. I remember bits and pieces.
Are you doing the whole series or just the movie?
We're just doing.
I've got both.
We'll be doing the movie minute by minute, though. That's the.
Gotcha.
We'll be blowing this chunk format and returning back to the. Not that the chunk format hasn't served us well, but it's just we'll be going back for a full tilt, old school movies by minute podcast next season.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Chunky's fine, but
sometimes you just like smooth.
I like it nice and smooth and sleek. Enjoy your chunks if you enjoy your chunks, though. Something for everybody.
Be there 3 of you, 4 of you, whatever, and just enjoy your chunks.
Exactly. Would you both like to promote anything or say where you can be found online? Even if you don't want to promote your own stuff, promote whatever you want.
Go for it, Rick.
Okay. Yeah, well, if people are interested in hearing more from me, you can find my stuff on madmaxminute.com, but I am actively engaged in another project called Sword Boys, Cut by Cut. You can go to swordboys.biz, which is our website, and find all of our stuff on social media. We go cut by cut through all of your favorite and maybe not so favorite sword and sorcery movies, starting in the 80s and going on from there. We're constantly expanding our scope of what qualifies as a sword movie. So if you're into that sort of thing, check us out, swordboys.biz.
Oh, it's a great show as well. Listeners, if you've not heard it, I'm sure you have, but if you haven't, check it out right now.
Yes, Sword Boys can confirm. It's a good sit.
Have you got anything?
Not really. I'm coming out of retirement to talk with you guys.
Aw. Is it a temporary retirement?
I don't know. I had one last job, and then they pulled me back in, that sort of thing.
You can never really retire.
But yeah, I also endorse Sword Boys, so crush it.
Hell yeah, check that out. And we've mentioned it. It was a long time ago. But if you want to hear more of George, you've got the Mogwai Minute.
Got the Mogwai Minute. I mean, go back to the old school. Yeah, exactly. It's all on Spotify still. I mean, it's on all the places, but it's for sure lives on Spotify.
And I put that in the top tier of these kind of shows. So listen to that if you haven't, people. I'm sure you have at this point.
But if you haven't, get on it. Yeah. It's only like 6 years old now.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's nothing. So do that.
Everything is completely relevant and timely.
Exactly. Not all the jokes will make perfect sense.
They'll lock in. Yeah, exactly.
Well, speak to us as well, as usual, on Facebook at the Bat-Minute Listeners Cave. I'll say Twitter at Bat-Minute, but I'm against it now. I'm just going to put that on air. I don't care. I'm against it. We only keep it because there are some people. It's the only way of getting in touch with them to come on the show.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd just straight up delete it. But there you go. But so if you message, we will still get the notification, and I will, or Niall will reply as much as we hate it out of duty to you, the listener. We're also on Instagram at The Bat Minute. Check out our network, Sleepy Charlie Media, on Patreon and TeePublic. If you want bonus episodes, you want to help the show, you want a t-shirt, whatever, all that kind of good stuff. As of recording, what's on Patreon? I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, we're still doing that comic, the 89 Echoes, because that releases every goddamn 4 months.
We got BS Escapades. One of the most recent ones was for Young Einstein.
That was incredible. That's one of my favorite episodes we've ever done.
Yeah, and one of our upcoming ones will be for I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
That is also a classic. I love that movie very much.
So we'll be talking. If you subscribe to our Patreon, you can hear us talk about it. Probably now, if not very soon.
Oh, and also coming up, by the time you hear this, it won't be too long till we'll have to, out of obligation, talk about Beetlejuice.
That's right. Yeah. I was going to try to pencil it in, John, and I noticed that you the weekend it releases, you're out of town. So.
Oh, where am I that weekend?
I'm not doing just. It was like it's a full 3 days you're gone as well. So I was like, well, I guess
I'm in Scotland, I think. Okay, okay, cool.
So
Well, I'll watch it when I get back.
Of all the times, though, for you wait 35 years for a Beetlejuice sequel, and then I'm out of town that weekend.
I can't help being a star, darling. I have an adoring public I need to entertain. And I'll entertain you next week as well, listeners. Come back for more chunky action here on Bat Minute Beyond.
Next time, Batman and Batmongrel make tracks. After an attempt at a murder as graphic as Carl Grissom's, it seems the specter of a sinister trickster has been exorcised by a shock to the system. But with a beam of obliteration still bearing down, can Terry take his Rin Tin Tin and a tapped-out Tim to safer ground? It could be Robin's reckoning, and Terry's, and for Ace, if nothing ceases at laser beaming down from space. This could be our gristliest chunk yet, Batmites. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minutes.